Hi, Natalie.
So nice to have you on the What podcast.
I'm excited. I was so honored to be asked to come on.
Yeah, well, I know you're really busy, so I'm super grateful you're here and you took the time out of your schedule. And I look forward to connecting with you because I know that a lot of people, a lot of coaches that are listening who are just starting out are going to want to know, what you've done to set yourself up. And because your marketing is so good and you're really advanced compared to a lot of the coaches that are just entering, obviously, in
Oh,
this.
wow. Thank you.
So tell people who you are, what you love, what you do, and then we'll get started.
Yeah. Okay. So, my name is Lauren Morrison. I am a leadership and business coach, ACC, currently working on my PCC with Canada Coach Academy. And yeah, I'm also a leadership facilitator as well. So I have two prongs of my business. On the one side, I do corporate leadership training between Canada and the US and as a facilitator and as a coach. And then I have my own private business that is largely focused on coaching senior leaders, entrepreneurs, predominantly marginalized people of color, navigating through different rooms that not necessarily built for them or where people don't look like them. So just to create that safe space for people who are navigating that world and, really looking for opportunities to break through some of their own some of their own unique psychological barriers. So that's really what I do.
Yeah, so I've had the pleasure of getting to know you in the advanced program and
Yes.
supporting your journey to PCC, which I think is wonderful. And in that program, you've talked about being in the room, kind of like your brand of being in the room. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So the when it really came down to like what is my brand or what is my focus or who do I want to coach, one of the things that I really kept coming back to was uh, this way to invoke a presence within rooms where you don't believe that you have presence. Where you look into the room and you do a quick scan and you have these psychological messages that come your way, systemic messages that come your way that tell you it's better if you just be quiet, it's better if you don't rock the boat, like stay invisible in order to stay safe. These are a lot of the messages. So be in the room was really about like, how can we break through some of those barriers in order to be in the rooms that we want to be in so that when others are coming into those rooms, into those spaces, can look around and feel like they're safe and they're valued. Just at like sight, because I do believe that representation matters. And really where this came from for me is my own journey from in corporate. So I was working in a major telecom corporation for 11 years. And yeah, predominantly almost every single room I ever walked in, I was the only woman, most often the only woman of color for sure. So not really understanding, having this belief that the reason why I felt the way that I felt, or the lack of vision I had for my own advancement within the organization or even within leadership, was really like low self-confidence, or it was my fault. And when I really started to learn a little bit more about myself and learn about some of those systemic barriers that I didn't even realize were holding me back, it became a passion of mine to want to help others feel seen in their journeys as well, where they're like, oh, it's not just me who feels this way. I'm not alone in thinking that, I can only go so far, and I can challenge some of those beliefs because I see someone else in the room who has challenged those beliefs. So being in the room is about having the courage to be authentically who you are so that other people can feel safe in being the same way for themselves as well.
I just love that brand and everything it stands for because there's so many, people who shy away
Yes.
from being present, like contributing. I think there's a responsibility for organizations to create safe cultures like that do allow people to speak openly or invite challenging perspectives or
Yes.
invite the opportunity to even disagree, argue, and contribute new sort of innovative out of the box ideas
Yeah.
that you're talking about. So the people that you coach, and I've actually had the honor of listening to some of the people that you coach
Oh,
who
she's
are, which is a really great, um, just such a what a wonderful opportunity to empower women in, all over the world. It sounds like you're really coaching all over the world, and you
yeah.
get to also have a glimpse of the cultural
Yes.
aspects to coaching. What can you say about that? Like that, yeah, culture and coaching.
It's yeah, it's really interesting because yeah, when you do get to, it's almost like everything has its different flavor, but so many of the challenges are still so the same.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting because it really comes down to when it comes to like coaching the brain is so important, just and I think that the cool thing about coaching is that you don't need to be an expert on every culture. You depend on the people who you're coaching to bring the unique cultural barriers or the unique cultural landscape into the conversation. And really, you're just there to coach the human within that culture.
Yeah.
So, but it's also been like really rewarding and cool to kind of see that, yeah, a lot we how no matter what culture we're in, no matter what we look like, no matter, how far in our careers or success we've gotten, we still have stories. We still all have stories that hold us back, that we wholeheartedly believe in. And it's been so interesting to get a sense of various cultures' stories, right? Because the stories that my clients who have grown up in Africa, who have spent a lot of time in Somalia, they're so different from that of my Canadian West Indian clients or my African American clients. So it's been really interesting or even like Asian clients, like such different stories and formation of these stories, and yet still like the same kind of principles apply from a coaching perspective when it comes to challenging those stories. So yeah, it's been really great to get a more global appreciation of what's going on for people and what their cultures or stories have been like.
Well, and and the premise of coaching is to lead with curiosity. And
Yes.
so this is the work of all great cross-cultural programs, right? Is to get
Yeah.
curious about actually when I was first learning about I call it cultural dexterity, this idea of being able to, consider culture and bring barriers down and open up the dialogue and leaning into the experience. One of the things that I was really surprised about was that a common misconception is that ignoring differences makes them okay.
Yes.
Makes them like, oh, let's just ignore the differences and everything will be fine. When in fact it's the opposite that's
Yeah.
true, that we have to invite the differences to the table and the
Yes.
perspectives and all of the, what we bring in diversity to the table, and not ignore it and not pretend or try to assimilate everybody in the room, right?
Yeah.
So that was one of an eye-opening moment for me, because it is, we tend to avoid the things that are uncomfortable as humans, no matter what it is. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to go there. I don't want to do that. I don't want to feel that. And I
Yeah.
get how that could be a reflex. So when you're coaching and you're coaching such diversity, how do you stay present to the conversation and also self-manage your own bias?
Yeah, it's a you know what? It's been a great practice in emptying. Um because you do, especially when I first started out and I'm a Canadian. I'm a first generation Canadian. My parents are immigrants from the West Indies. So most of my cultural experience has been around that narrative, that story. And sharing those lived experiences with so many other people where it's like, yeah, I can relate to you because I have similar lived experiences. And then to broaden and go global, and it's like, that actually doesn't even really matter. Like your shared lived experience doesn't really matter. But what it has helped me, I think it has helped me to like lean into that curiosity, And because I think that one of the challenges that I've had with being in the room is having people uh, dismiss my story because it offends their value system, or because it's an implication that, oh, this is a you problem, because it can't be something that I'm doing. It can't be something that my presence is doing. It can't be this can't be anyone else's. I'm a person who like welcomes diversity and I love diversity. So you telling me, you even exposing to me that you don't feel all the way safe in this space, that has to be a you problem. That's not on me. And it's like a full dismissal of stories, of beliefs. And it's like, I don't have to be right. That's the thing. I don't need to be right, but I do need to be believed. And I think that that's something that I carry in with me in various when I'm coaching different cultures, is it doesn't matter whether or not their belief or their story is right or wrong. It's
Mm,
a matter
yeah.
of, I'm giving you the space to be believed, because so often you're dismissed because your story doesn't match up with someone else's experience. And quite frankly, it's offensive to them that you would even carry that story around them, because it's counter to what they believe about themselves. And I've done a lot of facilitation, especially in the diversity, equity, inclusion space, which was such a challenge for me, because when you have been told all your life, like, don't make white people feel uncomfortable, don't talk about race, and then you're leading these workshops with people, challenging your own inner narrative, your own inner stories in order to help people challenge theirs, that has really helped me to, like, through some hard work and intention, just empty myself out. To just say, let's just be present and meet people where they're at.
Yeah, it's that all important rule of acceptance over agreement,
Yes.
and willingness to accept what shows
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, because I'm actually I'm a pretty competitive person, in a sense that, like, yeah, I genuinely believe I'm right most of the time. This is just a core belief of mine. I do believe that I'm always right, and when I'm wrong in the right way.
I love it. Okay, I am gonna use that one.
I genuinely
When
do
I'm
believe
wrong,
this
I'm
is
wrong.
I'm
What
wrong
did you
in the
say?
right way.
I'm wrong in the right way. That's it. Okay.
Exactly. So, the which is why coaching has been like a bit of an uphill learn from me, because I do love the sound of my own voice. I do genuinely believe that my perspective is the right perspective. But putting myself in uncomfortable situations, whether it be coaching different industries, different cultures, etc., it has forced me into this belief of, your experience is not what's relevant to this conversation, because you don't have experience in these conversations. You don't have experience in these cultures. You don't have experiences in these industries. So you really just got to be a vessel.
You do. And, your struggle is what I hear every day. So
Yeah.
it's certainly not. And I mean, we have professionals who come to our community who are absolute top of their game. They're
Yeah.
experts in every field.
Yeah.
And they come in, the first thing they need to do is unlearn being an expert, unlearn being the strongest voice or the loudest voice in the room as well. And that's hard for a lot of people.
Can I tell you, I think it was, so I signed up for coaching because I, like most leaders, was like, yeah, I've been coaching forever. I mentor people. I've been leading people. I'm a coach, like, 24/7. I'm a parent, all these things. And I remember the first day when I signed up for the Canada Coach Academy, and the book that we had to read was The Heart of
The
Laser
heart of
Focused.
laser focused coaching. Yeah.
There you go. Let me tell you, I wanted to throw that book across the room. I was so angry with that book, because it was conflicting with because the whole reason I signed on to do this was because I believed that I was already good at it. And then to find out that there were so many things that I needed to unlearn in order to be effective, whew, that was rough.
Tell me what that moment was like. Because you're right. You're in there. You're saying, I'm doing this every day and I'm good at what I do. And then you read something that's so counterintuitive to what you're doing.
Yeah.
What do you think to yourself in that moment?
You I don't remember what I thought. I just remember what I felt. I felt really frustrated. I
Mhm.
felt so frustrated. And I think it was like this, I, when you're a high achiever, straight A student, like you're used to just being good at everything and always right, it's really hard for your identity when you need to confront this idea that you're wrong. Like you're wrong. You're not actually inherently good at this. You're not going to join in and be like the top of your class immediately. Like this is something you're going to need to work towards. So yeah, there is that frustration there, like I said, wanting to throw the book across the room because you had this belief about yourself that you were going to be amazing day one. And then you realize like, no, you're going to need to be a rookie at this. And I've been built a whole career on being an all-star. So to be a rookie at anything, um, again, it's tough.
Okay, so take me back, or well, because I mean, it seems that you have been able to establish a really busy practice as a coach. You're coaching a lot. You're advertising a lot. Like I see you out there. I see you
Oh,
really working your business. And a lot of our listeners are at the beginning of their coaching journey. A lot of people are listening, want to transition their current, professional career into coaching later or now, or as they sort of, maybe even move into retirement. What what were your your rookie years like? Like what did you do to sort of start to climb the ladder?
my rookie years were focused on like one thing, and it was just reps. It was reps, as many reps as I possibly could. Whatever I could do to get someone into a coaching conversation, like I did. Like I think I completed my 100 hours within like 4 months or something like that. I
Mm,
got aggressive
yeah.
with just wanting to coach any and everybody, lowering the barrier. Like the goal when I started my business was not to make money. My goal was to get the reps in terms of practicing feeling better and more confident as a coach. So that was definitely, and anytime I'm like trying to get out of trying to do something new, it's reps first. It's reps over confidence. It's reps over feelings, right? Especially when it came to like selling myself as a coach, like or giving people a number. Like I would assign a number to my rate to my business, a number that I felt gross about, and I would just keep stacking conversations to keep saying that number until such time that I wanted to vomit less while doing it.
Mm,
So that was such a big part of it, because I genuinely I think that that is something that, putting yourself out there is the thing that most people are afraid of when it comes to marketing or establishing a business. It's one thing to be like really good at coaching, but that's only 50% of the journey. There's another huge percent in actually putting yourself out there, telling people that this is what your intention is, this is what you want to do, and it's not comfortable. So I would just assign myself like numbers to hit in terms of getting the reps in. And then if it was a bad coaching conversation, it was a bad coaching conversation. That's okay. I've got another one coming up. I can learn from it. And I'm finding like now I'm back in that space, even now that I'm in this advanced coaching program, is doing the same thing where I'm just like, I'm just going to have a lot of crappy coaching conversations, but I'm going to get these reps in.
right. So by reps, you mean coaching conversations, as many as you can find to get
As
into.
many as I can find. And it's not even just coaching conversations, it was coaching conversations, it's sales conversations, it's videos and, putting up videos and or putting content up on social media. One of the very difficult things for me, mindsets to shift coming out of corporate and doing my own coaching business, was in corporate you're so focused on the scoreboard, you're so focused on like hitting the numbers. So I remember like when I first started my business, I made like a plan. I set myself a target and I was like, here's my funnel and here's what I'm going to do and here's what I'm going to charge. And like that is so it's it's a useful practice, but it's so disheartening. It got so disheartening because I'm like, well, now I'm in my head about not meeting the numbers. And
Um,
so
yeah.
what the mindset that I've had to shift to, especially in my rookie years, was to measure my output versus my outcomes, right? So I was focused on scoring myself based on the habits that I wanted to build versus scoring myself based on what the scoreboard was saying. And that was a difficult shift, but that was a big thing that I had to that is a big thing that I had to develop, a muscle I needed to develop in my rookie years because too many people will do something a couple times and then they'll be like, "Oh, this isn't working,"
Mm.
forget it. And you can't. You just have to keep putting the numbers up.
Somebody I follow quite a bit is Seth Godin, and he reached his 10,000th blog post
Yeah,
recently. And he was talking about how at the beginning no one was doing it, and he would get like some days or weeks that nobody would look at a post, nobody would like a post, nobody would even interact. And those are times when it feels like you're not making progress, and
right.
if the feedback's not there, it feels lonely, right, and
Yes.
frustrating. And you're saying push through that. You're saying, you've got to keep going.
Yeah, and I think that that's the thing is like even that knowing that it's going to feel lonely, knowing that it's going to be disheartening, knowing that it's going to be discouraging, and then making a decision to keep going anyways, because tying myself to was the biggest things was I'll never forget this actually. When I started one of my rookie year setting up my coaching business, I had a colleague because my job was like corporate strategy and planning and project management and business operations. So it's like I know how to run a business, but you don't realize how little you believe in yourself until such time that your business is your name, right?
Right?
Really,
That's such a good point.
you don't realize it's not the same thing,
Mm-mm.
right? So I
Mhm.
remember, reached out to a colleague of mine who was and I asked her, I was like, I've got my objectives and I got my KPIs, and can you help me like just brainstorm this with me the way that we would do like a director or a VP offsite? She's like, sure. And I put it down to her, and she said to me, she was like, "You're thinking so linear." She was just like, "You're doing this the way you would do a corporate business and it's not the same thing, and she's like, why are you even doing this?" And so we went through that whole like Simon Sinek's The Golden Circle. She really drilled me down because the good thing is that she was also practicing coaching as well. So she really drilled me down to get to the why. The like, why are you doing this? What is it that you want people to feel? What is the outcome that you're trying to drive? What is the bigger vision? And I think that that exercise was so something that I was skipping over because I was just like, no, you got to have KPIs, you got to have a strategy, blah, 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 blah. But when I really got down to the why and the purpose of what I was doing and why I was doing it for, in those moments where it felt lonely, in those moments where it felt like, what is the point of this? Nobody cares. Nobody's watching. Nobody's asking for any more of you than you're already putting out there. Those were the moments where I could look to that exercise and could be like, but you know what, Lauren, this is bigger than you. This is bigger
Mm.
than your feelings right now. This is bigger than your doubt. This is for something bigger than you, and that would help to push me through.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I absolutely, that's why we have in our programs, we have that opportunity to create your mission statement,
Yeah.
because it's so important to your success, like your willingness to get back into it when you've hit a wall, when you're losing your motivation. Such a good practice.
Yeah.
There's something else you said. I was like, oh yeah, I want to drill in on that a little bit. So when you're setting up your business and you're looking at platforms, tools, like where did you try a few things, try and fail, like kind of, so where are you at now? If you were to help people kind of narrow down on tools to use as you're building your business.
You know what the, overwhelming thing is like, especially when you put yourself up as a coach on, Instagram or LinkedIn, mostly LinkedIn, it's like everybody's always in your inbox every day on like,
Yeah.
do you want us to help you scale and da 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 get 10,000? So it's like, it's frustrating and it's overwhelming because every day you're getting bombarded with people who say they have the answer.
Yes.
And it just makes you just want to shut down and not listen to anybody. And I remember my husband actually said, you know, just start talking to them. Just start having conversations with them. You don't have to commit to anything, but
Yeah.
just start having conversations. So I did start having conversations with people and yeah, I tried things and they failed. And it's hard because everything costs $10,000 minimum to
Yeah.
try out. And yeah, so I think where I'm at now, like I tried the course thing, I tried the funnel thing, I tried the booking a person to book my appointments thing. Um, I tried I tried marketing, teams, marketing expertise, marketing consultants, and I think that where I am now, especially like the last thing that I tried was, getting a team to come in and help me to focus in on my brand, to build that brand. Because where I am now, it's less about, trying to build the funnels. It's less about trying to build the IPs and everything. It's just focusing in on that message, that be in the room message as much as possible and letting things naturally build from there. I think before I was so focused on like building a business. Now I'm building a brand. Um,
Mm.
and that has been my pivot. And I was so focused on building a business because, especially as a business coach, and because of ego and because of transitions and a whole bunch of things, I was like, I'm going to build a 7-figure business in my first year. That's my brand. That's who I am. That's what I do. And I'm going to impress everybody by doing this. And this was my mission. And then it took me all of that trial and error, those, make $10,000 a week kind of things to just get down to like back to don't focus on building the business per se, build the brand, build the message, the business will come.
Mm. Really powerful to know the difference between brand and business. People buy who you are,
Yes.
not, what you do necessarily. And so that idea, I think, is an important one for, people starting out, especially when you say, your business is your name. Like, that's a big one because it's everything that you want people to feel and know and experience,
Yeah,
when they interact with you, right? So,
absolutely.
and I love that you tried all these things because I mean, so many people are going, do I try this? Is it worth it? So, like, what can you say about? I know you said you tried the course. What were the lessons you learned on that one?
Well, the biggest lesson I learned was like I have the capacity to fail. That sucked to learn. Um,
Welcome to the human race.
I can fail. This is what I learned
Mhm.
by launching the course. I think the course was a great exercise. I'm proud of it. But it made me really appreciate this. It made me really appreciate, what it takes to actually get people to like spend money with you. Because again, everyone is being bombarded by everybody who has the answer. So you can't just come in and be like, one day, be like, I've got a course and it's got the answer. And you can go off after that and make $1 million. No, you have to like really pound the pavement with content, reminders, value. Like you have to constantly be promoting that this thing is the answer so many times before people will be like, "Ah, maybe it is the answer." Like, it really and I didn't appreciate that before. I think I sort of went with the idea of, like, if you build it, they will come. Make the course. People like you, so they'll come and they'll buy the course from you. They won't. They won't do that. So, I
We have to
genuinely
remind them 9
have
times
to
at
remind them
least.
so many times. And
Yeah.
even to remind them, you need to like get them on your email list. You need to get them to follow you. Like this is work. this is work. And yeah, it's but I have so much more appreciation for that now.
Mm.
And I yeah, I it's like a it was a good lesson for me in like you were an all-star before, you're a rookie now. You're learning this business from scratch. You're learning who your audience is from scratch. You're building trust. You're doing all of these things. Like you can't expect to come out of the gates and exceed expectations the way you've been doing on your performance reviews for the last like 11 years. Like that was a hard pill to swallow because the whole reason I did this transition was because I had this belief when I was working in corporate. I was like, I'm doing so well in an area, in a subject matter area, in an industry that I care nothing about. I have no connection to the telecommunications industry. I have no interest in the trends. I'm never going to go home and read an article about any of this. But yet I'm doing so well. So, what would happen if I actually applied my skills to something that I felt purposeful and passionate about? I would be incredible. And so I carried that belief into launching my business, thinking that I would start out being incredible because I had proven on myself over here. And it's like, no. And I think it was actually someone who said to me, he was just like, Michael Jordan playing in the NBA and then transitioning to baseball. They're two totally you're a great athlete, but they're two totally different sports.
Oh yeah. And you realize too, you're alone at first, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, I'm doing everything.
Yeah,
Every hat in this business, you're wearing it, right?
yeah, yeah.
It's a
So now
lot.
I think I've successfully discouraged any listener from doing anything because it's
Well, let's talk about where you're at now. No, I think it's no, it's real. It's real. And I think people need real because it isn't just, oh, I'm going to start a coaching business and people will come. Like, if I build it, they will come. It's so much more than that. And people need to be ready for it.
yeah,
And the world needs coaches so much right now that like we don't, I mean, I want to make sure people know that the opportunities to become a coach right now are powerful,
yeah,
especially in corporate,
yes,
especially in all this transition, the disruption of AI and all of this, like the economy, everything that we're experiencing right now is hard for people and they need coaches. They need
yeah.
coaches to support them through that. But you're so that was the rookie. That was the and I mean, I know I always feel like a rookie. Like I'm still in a rookie
I'm
and it's
still
been 9
rookie.
years. But what do you feel better at right now?
Uh, that's a good question. I feel better at I feel better at sucking. Like I feel better. I think I said this in one of the classes a couple weeks ago. Like I I think I'm getting a lot better at being shitty, and I think that that is absolutely necessary, to be able to build resilience in this organization. Because to your or in anything, because to your point, like, yeah, I feel like a rookie still. I've been an ACC for like 3 years, and I'm coming into this advanced coaching course being told like, "Oh, Lauren, you're such an amazing coach, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just coming to this course to check a box." And then like day 1, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's so much that I like suck at." But that's okay. And I feel good about the fact that I'm trying things and doing things. Um, so I think that feeling better about being messy in the middle is been a huge thing for me. And I'm definitely better at leaning into my message. I'm definitely better at leaning into my audience. I'm definitely a lot more confident in my abilities as a coach or as a facilitator. And if I'm not confident on the day, I'm confident that I'm going to get there eventually, right?
Uh-huh.
So that has been such a big thing. And, even like speaking or doing short form content has been such a great practice for me because it has helped me to really narrow in on the pain points, narrow in on the message, be more succinct, increase my own presence. So that is something that I know that I'm getting better at. And I'm really proud of myself for because it's going to help me to translate that into so many different other avenues that I'm currently working on. Like I'm currently working on building long form content with a YouTube channel. I'm currently working on writing the Be in the Room book right now. And so all of these things that I have done, the trial, the error, the things that I'm building more confidence in, it's really helping to translate into things that are going to serve for a bigger platform.
Hmm. Yeah. So okay, so let's start with your short forms.
Yeah.
Because I've been listening to a lot of your posts, and you're incredibly succinct with your language. And I kept asking myself, are you scripted or aren't you? Because I can usually tell when someone's scripted, and I can't tell with you. Is
That's
this
okay.
off the cuff or is
No,
this okay?
mostly scripted.
Okay, because it doesn't show at all. I
Yeah.
mean, we all prepare, but like you're very natural and you're
Thank you.
very like matter of fact. It's not like you're sitting in front of a screen trying to read a script, right? You're
Yeah.
more dynamic.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, yes, I use this is my whole process. Usually sometimes even in a coaching conversation, I'll drop something or something will be said or a problem will come up and I'll just like write it down on my notes to be like, that's a concept, that's a
Okay.
thing, that's a
Yeah.
gem.
Yeah.
And then I will sit down and I'll write it out just rough and messy. Just be like, here's what I want to say, here's how I want to say, here's what I want to bring in. And then I'll put it into ChatGPT. And now ChatGPT, because I've invested money in building a brand message, and like a brand Bible, essentially. I'm able to use that brand Bible with ChatGPT, having a sense of my tone and voice to be like, let's get this into like a succinct 60-second script,
Mm.
load that into a teleprompter app, and I essentially like will bang 15 of them out in one day. 15 of them out in
Holy
one day
wow.
because once they're like the whole process isn't one day, to between the scripting
Right.
and the loading and the, doing my makeup that day, like that's not one day. But if I'm gonna look pretty, then I'm gonna maximize on it as much as possible. So I'll
Yeah.
do like 10 to 15 in one day, and then I'll send it to an editor that I've found to help me.
Okay. You have an editor.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Get
Okay.
give them all the raw stuff.
Okay.
Because I think the challenge is because I do have such a busy coaching practice between coaching and facilitation, like if I had to do it all myself, like I wouldn't do it.
Right.
It would just be too much of a lift. So to be able to take it there, be able to send it to someone who will just get it to me when they get it to me, and then I can post it, it's a game changer.
And when you say teleprompter and video, like what do you use to
There's a teleprompter app that you can use on your phone, actually. It's called Big View, BIGVU, and you can load your scripts into this teleprompter app. It's a subscription. I'm sure there's a free version, but you load your scripts into this teleprompter app, and you're just talking to your phone, and
Oh, and you're filming, you're holding yourself like it's a selfie. So you're
yeah, it's
seeing
kind of
it
like a
while
self,
you're talking. Oh, interesting.
and
Okay,
then it's
good.
just going up.
I'm
So
learning too.
well, because yeah, I used to do it raw off the cuff and it would just be like, oh, now I can't say that. No, 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 no. Like it's
Right,
frustrating.
right.
Not to say that, I don't make mistakes even with the teleprompter, but I make way less mistakes and I can get through more of them.
Right. Okay. And so your editor is adding in like the shots that you like and the changing of screen and
Yeah. So he does
that's
like two different versions. Like I'll do like
yeah.
low edits and high edits. So like low is like it's just gonna be me in the car and it's
Yeah.
whatever. And then there's high with like, yeah, effects and all
Yeah.
that jazz.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's so interesting. And I'm sure that's super helpful too for our audience. So thank you for sharing your
Yeah, of
process.
course.
Um and So you're using this content, you're also probably repurposing it, I imagine? Like, it's not just a one shot, one platform, trying to use that across different platforms?
Yeah, so a lot of the content that I have on Instagram, will eventually make its way to LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I repurpose it scripts for newsletters and vice versa, and then, repurposing them for long form content as well. A lot of the concepts are concepts that I even trialed, and just even when I was thinking of writing the book, it's like, trialing it through short form content to see, like, does
Mm,
this even resonate? Does this idea resonate with people? And if it does, then it's like, cool, let's turn it into something else, right? So I very much look at creating content and putting myself out there on social media. It's less about, like, selling myself as a coach, and it's more about, like, testing, experimenting with ideas, experimenting with problem statements, experimenting with solutions, and getting to know my avatar that much more intimately and building trust with them.
mm,
Um that has been a big part of it, because that is really what gets people in the door to actually want to work with you, is because you're on their feed like 3 or 4 times a week saying things that they're nodding their heads along to, right? That's what's making them, sign up with you from a coaching perspective.
So, in that respect, when you look at where most of your clients come from, whether it's facilitation or one on ones, what are they saying? Like, what are you noticing is where you're having the most success with your approach?
Instagram.
Instagram, eh?
Instagram having the
Okay.
most success, yeah. I would, and it's probably because it has a lot to do with a few things. One, it's a platform that I'm most active on. Number two, my sister is also spends a lot of time, like, creating content on Instagram. So every now and again, like, my name will pop up in her feed, and people will be like, "Oh, who's this? Who's this version?" Um,
Yeah.
so that one for sure. And I think, yeah, it's just been a way for people to, like, send me around a lot. Yeah, so I've seen most success on LinkedIn versus sorry, on Instagram versus platforms like LinkedIn. But again, I'm not as in and on Instagram too, like, I'm doing stories, like, people, like, really know me on
Okay.
Instagram. People kind of have, like, one version of me on LinkedIn, because I'm like, I can't be everywhere all at once.
Right. Well, you have to choose. And I think
Yeah.
that's an important point too. Like, what are you noticing is your sort of playground? Like, where are the people that are resonating with your message, right?
Yeah, and I think it is Instagram for sure, because I think that there's just a bit more permission on Instagram, than there is on other platforms, to be the whole version of yourself.
Mm,
So people really do get to know me from all facets of my life. They don't just know me as a coach, they know me as a mother, they know me as a friend, they know me as, like, a kitchen singer, they know me as someone who's into working out, like,
hang on, time out. What's a kitchen singer?
someone who just sings in the kitchen,
Oh,
like,
like somebody sings in
who's
the
just, like,
shower.
chopping who's just, like, chopping things and, like, doing karaoke to 80s love songs, like, that's my jam.
That's so
So, I think because I'm really big on coaching the whole person, Instagram, I think, gives permission for
mm,
me to show up as my whole person.
mhm.
So, or at least where I've felt most comfortable being my whole self. So,
So tell me how, and I don't know if this was even an issue for you, but I know, like, for me, I'll speak for myself and for a lot of people, um, being in a public place, like you said, if you're doing your grocery shopping or you're in your car and you're filming yourself, how do you move past the barrier of, like, discomfort or what will people think, kind of thing?
I don't even know if I fully have, to be honest. Like,
Oh, okay. Okay. So
you
it's a
look at
thing.
most of my videos, like, I'm in my car, I'm in my office. Even, like I said, my sister, it's interesting because, like, my sister, she has what, like, 600,000 followers on Instagram or whatever the case is.
Oh,
She
wow.
still feels embarrassed about it.
Oh, really?
She's still like, anytime we're doing anything, she'll be like, "Okay, let's set it up quickly, and then let's run." You know what I mean? So, I think the cool what's helpful there is knowing that you may never get to the end of that. You may never get to the end of the discomfort with that. You might just become slightly less uncomfortable with it. But there's something like really refreshing, or when you see people who are quote unquote so much further ahead than you, like still feeling those ways, and you're like, oh, okay. So there's no like goalpost that I need to wait for in order for me to all of a sudden be okay with this. I'm just going to have to be okay with it not being okay. And then you can kind of give yourself that permission earlier on than what you might have later on. But it's still like uncomfortable. Like it is still I watch people on Instagram like do full things and like Target and like dance routines, and I'm just like, I don't know how they're doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still very uncomfortable, and I guess it's like you just got to do it feeling gross, do it feeling awkward because you might always feel that way.
And here's a question then. If you didn't do it, if you weren't that person,
Yeah.
would you still have your business today? Would it be what it is?
It might not be what it is, but I'm a big believer in like, because a lot of people will come to me and they're like, "Oh, I just don't want to be on Instagram. I don't want to be because there's a big stigma with people who are on social media and Instagram. Like a lot of people even come to me for coaching and they're like shocked, because they're like, I just thought you were fake. Because that's what you're
Okay.
supposed to be on. Like when you
Oh, wow.
have a persona on social media, people have a story about you that you're not a real person. So people are very shocked to learn that I'm a real person. And I'm always shocked to realize that they didn't think that I was a real person.
Mm, yeah.
Um, but I think that what a lot of people will come and they'll say is like, I don't want to be on social media. That's not my thing. And it's like, you don't need to be. One of the things that like I continuously remind my clients is that people were making money and building businesses before Facebook or Instagram was ever a thing. Those mediums haven't gone away, but you really need to just choose your hard. If being on social media for marketing yourself is feels too hard, then choose a different hard. Maybe it's the hard of, knocking on doors, taking out ads in newspapers or whatever. Like no matter what, marketing is hard. You don't need to choose Instagram in order to market yourself, but you do need to choose a hard. And
Mhm.
one of the things I did in my rookie years was I started like interviewing a lot of coaches, just talking to a lot of coaches on like, what did you do to build your business? How did you build clientele? What did you do? And to just kind of start to gather things that either felt like they resonated with me or they didn't. And some guy built his business just on like walking up to people on the street and just talking to them, or I'm not the person that's ever going to talk to the person who's sitting beside me on an airplane. I will sit beside someone for 6 hours who could be a potential client. I won't say nothing to them. That's not the hard that I choose, right?
Right.
But so in all that to say is that, and if I wasn't on Instagram, if I wasn't doing that stuff, if I wasn't promoting myself in that way, would I still have the same business? Maybe, or would I still have, it wouldn't be the same business, but would I still have a successful business? Probably, but I just would have chosen a different hard to get there.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good message to choose your hard because there is no easy if you really are building something from scratch and you've invested everything, every part of you in it.
Yeah. And it's your name.
Yeah. And it's your name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard when it's
Yeah.
your name. The other thing I did was I really utilized my network to help me. I reached out to a guy who used to work in my old corporation who was in sales. And this guy had President's Club like every year. He was top of his game when it came to sales. So when it came to like moving from like hourly based coaching into like high ticket coaching and everything, I was like, this makes me want to throw up. Can you work with me as like my sales coach?
Mm.
And yeah, he listened to my pitch. Two things he said. Um, he listened to my pitch and he was like, one, shut up. Uh,
Nice.
big advice to me. Shut up. You talk too much because you don't believe in yourself. And there were certain things that I was doing that I thought you should just do. Like you should have fine print. You should tell people that they can get out of things if they want to. He's like, why are you finding all these subtle ways to tell people that you don't believe in yourself? And
Mm,
I never saw those things. I was just trying to make it easy for people to say yes.
mhm. And
And
you're also making it easy to say no.
to say no.
Right, right.
So that was part of the big learning curve for me was, the finding all the having someone else to like look in on me and find all the ways that I subtly was not in belief of who I was, what I stood for, and what I did. And then again, using those lessons to just like rep it out.
Well, and what you're talking about is a shadow coach, it sounds
Mhm.
like, somebody who has expertise in a certain area that can reflect back to you what
Yeah.
they know
Yeah,
is accurate or not, or will work or not, right? That's a
exactly.
really important field, I think, in coaching that isn't talked about that much from an ICF perspective,
Yeah.
but I think has a really strong place in helping leaders get better, helping, people get better at certain skills like sales or Atul Gawande has that great TED talk where he's a surgeon talking about hiring a a coach to help him get better at surgery, right?
Yeah.
And it has to be a surgeon. It can't be just anybody off the street, right?
What do you believe
Yeah,
about that
I
scalpel?
don't like that stitch. No, but okay. And now I don't know. I don't even know how much time we have, but I do want to ask you, how did you diversify your offerings from going from one-to-one coaching to facilitation? Like, how does somebody make that crossover, in your opinion?
Again, it was networking in a sense where, I essentially, I went to the company that did the workshops for my company. So
Oh, yeah.
what the reason why I even got exposed to coaching as a leader was because I was, nominated into this leadership development program, which I thought was gonna be a waste of my time because, again, I already know everything. I'm smart and I'm right all the time. So, I'm really sweet, but very arrogant. But anyway,
I love the self-awareness. It's just
yeah,
so
so arrogant. Um, but ended up learning so much about myself in the process. And, just watching what they did, I was like, I got curious because I was like, what you do looks like it's a combination of so many of my superpowers, when it comes to like developing people, when it comes to presenting. I look at you and I'm like, I'd love to do what you do. What does that look like? What does that path look like? So they actually were my connection into facilitation pretty much simultaneously as I was developing my coaching because they're like, if
Mm.
you get ACC certified, if you leave your company and you get ACC certified, then you can audition with us and let's just see how it goes. Um, so that was really how I stepped into it. But that's been I love having the balance of the two, because I love a platform where I can showcase this version of my skills, the presenter, the speaker, those things, and then the version of coaching, which is very much not that, but still transformative, in a different way. So I love being able to do both.
Mhm. Well, and also, like, I try and tell coaches as much as I can that, the hardest business to build as a coach is the one that is strictly one-on-one coaching
Yeah.
because it's like it's the most hours, it's the least return in terms of money, and it's a lot of you that you need to
Yeah.
put in, right? And so diversifying with facilitation or group coaching or team coaching or other opportunities that you can find, or it's a good way to multiply your income and also maybe even multiply yourself when you start getting to certain levels, right?
Yeah, and you get to learn different skills, and I look at facilitation as like paid training for me,
Mm,
because so many of the tools that I learn and deliver and facilitate on are the tools that I use with my clients. So it's like this really cool, it's such a win all around. And it's like working the system from both sides, like helping people to not only show up in the rooms, but also helping leaders who are in charge of those rooms create safer spaces. So yeah, it's working the system from working my mission from both angles, which
Mhm.
feels really rewarding, but still a lot of me. So that's where where I am in my journey now is developing, you know, building that personal brand so that I can do more things that will, not be so much of like I have to physically be in the room in order to get paid, in order to make money. So that's kind of the next part of this journey.
Yeah, that's great. So what's the ultimate vision look like for you? What's ideal for Lauren?
One of the things that I did at the beginning was I in my back into my rookie years is I sat down and I defined what does success look like for me. So I put at the top of a paper, I was like, I am successful when I'm doing the following. When I'm successful when I'm building leaders, I'm successful when I am, I have a great relationship with my kids and my husband. I'm successful when I can be present for family. And, so there's all this like I am successful when criteria. And
Mhm.
then so a lot of those boxes I have checked off, and one of them is the one that I'm currently working on in terms of the big vision is like I am successful when I can, take time off without an impact to my income. I am successful when my monthly expenses are being covered by passive income. So that is really kind of the next chapter. And getting there means that I'm going to be able to, be able to amplify the mission of helping more women of color specifically who feel that invisible is key to survival.
Mm,
Um, that is just going to amplify along with that mission. Because the more that I'm leaning into that purpose, which is really what I'm focused on, like just leaning into that purpose, that message, that audience, the more opportunities it will give me to, hit those other goals versus putting those goals at the forefront. Like, how am I going to make $10,000 of passive income today? No,
mhm, mhm.
that's the vision that I'm building.
Yeah. No, I really, really like your question. Or your statement that you finished. I am successful when.
Yes.
Such a great way to describe what that looks like for
And it
yourself.
really helps you to like cut through the noise too on those days when you don't feel successful, when you're like, oh, like I suck. This isn't going
Mhm,
anywhere. Like
mhm.
all those days, it's like it's been a really useful to look at a list and be like, remember when you define success for yourself,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
authentically defined what success looked like for you, not for what it looks like for this person on Instagram or this person with this many followers. And that's such a grounding exercise because then it's like, oh, the number of followers I have doesn't matter. The number of likes on a post I have doesn't matter. Am I checking all these boxes? Yes, you're successful, Lauren. Keep going.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, it's so hard to remind ourselves, and that's again a great, place to go back and remind yourself of your power
Yeah.
and reflecting on progress because
Yes.
we forget where we started from,
Yeah.
right? When I reflect on progress, I'm like, whoa, 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 what happened?
Well, Natalie, I don't know if you have this, but it's like one of the hardest things about being a coach is you have to do all the shit you tell other people to do.
Yeah,
Like, that's hard. I want to sulk. I don't want to pick up
I
the
want to say
tools.
stuck in a moment.
I wanna be stuck. I don't wanna have answers. I don't wanna have tools. Like, but then you come in these blocks and you're just like, "Yeah, Natalie, like, don't forget how far you've come," and you just gotta be like, "Who cares about that right now? I wanna be
Well,
stuck
then
in this
that's
moment."
why. And I've heard you say this a few times now, I hired a coach. Well, that's why we have
Yes.
coaches as
Yeah.
coaches because we have to stay connected to that work, right?
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
it's too hard sometimes to pick it up from I see the tools, but I'm just like, "I can't be bothered."
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
wanna be bothered.
Mhm.
But again, when you want to be authentic, when your mission is to be authentic and to help other people realize their authenticity, then you got to do the hard things too,
Yeah.
even when you don't want to. And hiring a coach, doing all of those things to help you do that has been so key to my journey.
Oh, yeah, and I would say that's the number one thing that, all of myself and my team, like of facilitators and mentors, we all have that in common where you have to be continuously involved in educating yourself
Yeah,
and have a coach at all times because it's just how we stay connected to this growth mindset, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard so you did this leadership development program,
Mhm.
and is that when you decided to come and like focus in on coaching, or what happened after that?
It was a curiosity that I followed.
Okay.
Um, I think the colleague that I mentioned to you before, she um she was going through a coaching program, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember I got curious about that one time. Maybe I should get them to pay for it too." But then at the same time we were entertaining like moving to California, so it was I didn't when I started when I even like when I signed up for the coaching program with Coach Canada Coach Academy, I had no idea about how much coaches made. I had no idea about the business of coaching. I was
Okay.
more just kind of following a curiosity. So it's hard to say like there was this moment or this time where I'm like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. Like it was like, oh yeah, I remember I was curious about that. This other person I know is doing it. I should try and do it too. I think I'd be really good at it. This voice has been whispering to me for like years and years and years. So like let me just lean in. So yeah, it definitely wasn't like a spark or a moment. But it was a collection of, looking back on like when I started to think about if not corporate, if not this position, if not becoming the next VP in this organization, then what? It was about looking back and being like, what are the moments that really lit me up? What are the moments that really changed me? What are the moments where I sat in there, felt so much in my skin and was like, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I want more of this. That those collection of those moments helped me to kind of checklist and like, would coaching give me these things
Mm,
potentially?
mhm.
And that's kind of where the transition came from.
Okay. What was the biggest, or I don't know, what stood out for you from the program?
From the program, how effective shutting up could be.
Okay.
Yeah. I not only that though, but having the tools to understand and navigate, like, the human brain, I think it was when you I think so many of us are dealing with our things and we're thinking, "Oh, it's just me, it's just me, it's just me." But when you see it on a slide, when you see
Mm.
it like in a theory, when you see it in a study, there's this release that happens where you're just like, "Oh, it's actually not just me. This is how I'm designed. It's not just me." It's like so when you can release that shame of isolation of it's just me, it's just me, it's just me, then it can help you lean more into like tools to overcome.
Oh, that's so well said. Because I have seen so many people have those moments of recognition, like that it's not just me moment.
Yeah.
That's so well said. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for everything you've offered today. I
Oh,
mean, I
thank
think that
you.
it's rich with resources and also humility, which I think is so important as a coach, and just this idea that there's no perfect journey. It's your journey. It's
Yeah.
what you make it. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
thank you for allowing me to come on here and share some of my story. I really hope it's helpful to somebody.
Oh, absolutely. So where can people find you? How do they reach you?
Yeah, so the best way to find me is on Instagram, Coach Lauren Morrison, and LinkedIn as well. But yeah, mostly if you really want to get to know me and who I am, definitely at Lauren Morrison on at Coach Lauren Morrison on Instagram, or you can hit up my website, which is www.beintheroomcoaching.com. And there's a
Be in the
story
room
there too.
coaching. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. And when is your book anticipated to come out?
If I finish it,
When you finish it?
when I finish it, thanks, Coach Natalie. It is, I would slated for fall of this year.
The fall. Oh, amazing. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll
yeah.
be looking for that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks so much for your time again. Really appreciate it. And we're rooting for you. We're cheering you on.
Thank you. So excited. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Natalie.